we're going to make a Moxa stick. So to make one that's packed nice and tight, you need a few things. This is a PVC pipe from the hardware store, from the plumbing department. It's the one I have is 3/4 inch by 8 inches long. But if you want a thicker Moxa stick or a thinner Moxa stick, you can get a different size. I like to get a little, this part's not necessary, but there's a little cap you can get to screw on one end. And then you need a dowel that will fit inside as tight as possible with enough room to move. So depending on the size of the PVC pipe, then you go to the place where they have wooden dowels and you find the one that fits best. Then you saw it so there's enough room for your hand to hold on to it, and that's what you need as a tool. To make the Moxa stick, you need a piece of paper. Basically, the idea is that you want it to go around the dowel at least twice, maybe more. If it doesn't go around twice, if it only goes around once with a little overlap, they tend to come apart. Twice is a little bit stronger. So you can see I've wrapped it, and then I didn't wrap it so tight that you can't move it, but I did wrap it relatively tight. We're going to glue it shut, but not yet. The next thing we want to do is to get it inside the PVC pipe all the way in. But you want some to stick out. A little bit needs to stick out at this point. And then you let go of it and you kind of let it expand, because there's a little bit of difference between the size of the dowel and the size of the pipe. So you want it to unwind and expand so that it, fits nicely inside the pipe. Okay, I know this is a lot of steps, but we're going to make a really good Moxa stick. Okay, so now I'm going to take it out, but I don't want to let it unwrap. I have a glue stick, but what I forgot to do was open it in advance. There, got it open without letting the thing unravel. Okay, you don't really want the glue stick on your table, so I have a random sheet of paper that, I'm going to use the glue stick on. And what we want to do then is probably hard for you to see because the paper's white and both papers are white, but I'm going to run the glue stick. Oh, it's kind of an old one and a little bit weird. Yeah, I'm running the glue stick across the edge, and now I am going to try and close it, and I want it to stick together so that now we have a tube. There's a little excess here, so I'm gonna try and get it off. Okay, my hands are sticky now. So this paper is done, at least for now. And glue sticks work pretty quickly, so now you see I can take the tube out. Okay. And now I do want to try, one thing I want to do first is fold off the bottom end. So I just want a little bit, and I'm folding the ends down. You can glue it, you don't have to glue it. So now, one end is closed up, and now I'm putting it back in. Okay, that's set up. The next thing we need is some Moxa floss. You can use whatever quality you want, the cheapest or the most expensive. I tend to use kind of a medium grade. If you use the gold, it gets so expensive, but I don't want to use the worst Moxa floss either. Okay, so basically now I'm taking the stick out and standing this up. It doesn't really stand up by itself, so I'm going to lay it down temporarily. And I'm taking some of the Moxa floss, and I'm just going to try and make it into like, you know, just a little thing, oops, that I can drop in the hole. Bad aim. Okay, drop in the hole. You don't want to drop too much at a time in, because then you can't compact it. And here's really the trick to making a good Moxa stick, is you want it well compacted. So I put a little bit in, and now the pole can go back in, and I'm going to pound it to make it compacted. Now, if you want good body mechanics, you need to stand up to do the pounding, but kind of in making the video, it's better if, maybe it's better if you see my face. I'm not quite sure. So we just keep adding some in and pounding. You want to be a little careful that you're not like pushing the paper, wrinkling it and pushing it in. But that's it. So I'm just going to do this for a long time to fill it up. I don't think I need to talk anymore. So here goes. Okay, it's done. So now we can unscrew this bottom part, and there was some Moxa floss in there, so it kind of came out. And sometimes it just comes out easily. Sometimes you have to push it out with the stick. So, you know, if it didn't want to come out easily, then you'd just put the stick in and push it through. But this one came out just fine. So now there's a little bit of extra. Maybe I could have filled it up slightly more. So there might be some extra paper at this side, but whatever. Okay. So I've got a Moxa stick, and when you touch it, it's really fairly firm. Perhaps it could have been firmer if I were standing up and really putting more effort in it. But when you put too much effort in it, you also risk ripping the paper. So now there's one more thing I need to do, which is you want to put it, you know, on the table and then roll it back and forth a little bit, because it's got all these different segments. Every time you packed it, it makes a little different segment. If you rip one open, you can see it's got all these segments, and rolling it back and forth may help the segments kind of cling to each other. Here, I'm going to cut off a little of this extra paper on this end. And again, I could glue it shut or not. Okay, so there's one last stage which is unnecessary, but I like to do it. Why not decorate it? So, you know, if you have a clinic stamp, you could actually stamp the paper before you roll it. But another thing you can do is like get origami paper, or, you know, Japanese decorated paper, little pretty ones, and, you know, plain color. You could color code them. For example, sometimes people mix herbs in with the Moxa floss, and so you could color code orange for like stomach disorders and red for blood disorders like blood stasis or something like that. Let's see, I don't know, which one do I want? There's a pretty red one, another pretty red one. Anyway, well, I'll just use this one. Why not? So you can, again, using the glue stick, glue this on. It kind of, to me, looks pretty in the center, but then, of course, as you're burning, this paper will get burnt when it gets down that much. So some people like to put it on one end of it. One thing when you're putting it on, there's the seam, which is a little bit messy. So I try to have the seam of the origami paper match up with the seam of the, paper, the Moxa stick, and that way you have a pretty side and a more ugly side. I don't know if you can see. So anyway, I've got this where I want it, more or less, but again, I forgot to open the glue stick first. So let's start again. Oh, and I guess I need the paper. Where'd the paper go? Oh, it's over here. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this around and then align it so that the seam matches. Yeah, okay, and try and get it nice and tight. And then again, I'm gonna just use the glue stick across the edge of it. Yeah. I'm not necessarily good at arts and crafts, but okay. And again, there's too much glue. Okay, so let's see. Okay, there. I have a beautiful Moxa stick, homemade Moxa stick. So that's it.